gentlemen, this is excitement time. 2023 World Cup live here in Florida, Kissimmee to be exact, just underneath the shadow of the Gaylord Palms. We're on property here. My name is Todd Ansich from Behind the Bunker Paintball Podcast. With me, I have my friend Nicholas Bartholomew Slowiak. That is your middle name, isn't it?
No.
Bartholomew? I'm close.
It's Thaddeus.
Oh, very good.
I'll give it to you.
Still in the Roman realm. That's good.
That's right.
So thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be with you here all day. Right now we're still watching some semi-pro action. Later on in the day we're going to have some women's play.
Yeah, we've got this Crisis lined up.
So on the field we have Ology and Manawatu. I always have to take a second to figure that one out. So on your right we have Manawatu Titans. Oh. It's working again, Nick. All right, so the Titans are on your right. Ology on your left.
So, yeah, looking at your screen right now, you can see the breakout. You can see the break. Check. We're good. I can hear you. No, I can't hear you, Todd? Yeah, I lost Todd. Hopefully you guys can hear me. You can see the guys on your screen now, double the back center, both cans and that center tower. Now we can see the left side of the field. Good position in that small juice box right there. You can flip back and forth, and if there's no one really down the Dorito side of the field, you can do a good job of holding those zones, especially in front of from the move from Dorito 1 to Dorito 2. Right now, say if you're new to paintball, what you just witnessed was the breakout, so 5-on-5. Everyone has to be touching that big rectangle bunker at the bottom, and you can see the buzzer there. The objective is essentially to shoot all 5 of your opponents, come all the way to your opponent's start station, and hit that button on the back. That will stop the game clock. A referee will come in, make sure there are no exploded paintballs on your person, and if you're good, your team will get a point. And then you will exit the field to your pit, and you will have another match going on at the same time. It's called split deck, so there are 4 teams playing, 2 one-on-one games. After the conclusion of your matchmate's game, you will have about 30 to 45 seconds to get out there and play again.
It actually sounds confusing when you break it down.
Thanks.
It's not. No. But like you're right. Like you forget the fact that some people don't really understand that. We've been in the sport for so long. We've seen the progressive. We get the rules. But for those that are maybe tuning in, that's a great recap.
Yeah, it's one of those things where again, like the focal point kind of gets brought up, and so when you see 5 people, 10 total on either side of the field, just kind of run to spots, and you can't. These are 68 caliber gelatin filled paint capsules, and so it's not the easiest thing to pick up on camera. And
a lot of time you have people who are used to going to Little Johnny's birthday party or a stag.
Yeah.
So when they play paintball, usually it's a center flag push where there's a flag in the middle or an objective where you have a mission or a base. So this is a little bit different with the mission being hit that buzzer on the other side of the field, eliminate all the players. But this is sort of that sort of play, but more chess-like.
Yeah, nice move through the center here to get a trade out. Is that DMG or is that a DMG player? No, I see. It's just the purple got me. Ology. Yeah. And they're playing the Titans, and the Titans are a group of guys out of New Zealand and Australia. A really good group of guys. They've been playing over here for a few years now and actually had some success, I believe, last year, winning a few events.
Yeah. And looks like they have Brandon Short coaching them as well today, so some success in the pit. He was there this morning.
Oh, and they have Jason Wheeler, who is an OG pro from the UK, playing with them. I'll have to look in their pit, see if I can identify any other guest stars. There's Crisis in the green.
Speaking of guest stars, thank you guys for tuning in. We have Nick Slowiak and myself, Todd Ansich, here doing some broadcasting for you. It has been a great event so far. It feels like we're farther into the event than we are. It is only Friday. We normally don't play on Thursdays other than World Cup, so it feels like we should be Saturday today. But we're still getting through a lot of the prelims.
Yeah, that's because we started early doing some exhibition.
You guys did too. You played some 7-3, but all these teams would normally have started on Friday.
Correct.
Practice on Thursday. Well, everything got pushed today forward, but we have over 600, almost 700 teams registered right now for World Cup. So got to start early in order to fit all these teams in.
Yeah, add as many extra fields as possible.
Yeah.
It's definitely a pretty well-oiled machine at this point. So shout out to the NXL staff, Fish and his crew, all the ladies in the registration booths that take care of all of you paintball nerds out there when you come out to this event.
And Fatty for moving everything around.
Yeah, man. I've asked for a long time if they can figure out a way to get like a scissor lift up and just do like a couple I can think of the word. I can't say it.
Aerial?
Time-elapse videos.
Okay, time-lapse.
So, because they're out here, I think, like up to 2 weeks ago.
Well, I'll give you a little insight. I was here in Florida for a full week last week. We had booked our family vacation. We were doing the Disney thing. We were here the second day in, and we happened to drove by the overpass here by the Gaylord Palm to go for dinner. And I looked in, and all of the mesh and nets were already up, and that was like nearly 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
So, and then I could see some of the white tents as well. Now, none of the vendors were here, obviously, but the infrastructure was pretty much already there. So I was told they were here like a month and a half ago. I could be wrong, but it was an awful lot of work.
I mean, Chicago was at the end of September, mid-September, so definitely had plenty of time to get whatever they needed from Gaelic Park in Illinois down here. And yeah, I mean, if this is available to get this stuff set up, as long as there's nothing, you don't have to worry about theft or someone damaged.
Forget about that. Gaelic Park, leaving that, how many days did it take for you to tear that down, pack it up, and clean up, and then be on the road? Like, they were there probably easily a week after the event, still working away. They have to have been.
I believe it. And for those of you guys kind of wondering what's going on right now, as Todd and I kind of got off on topic, so the game isn't over until either all players are eliminated, in which case the refs will signal the scores table and they will stop the clock themselves. Someone gets hurt, like it has to be like bad, or you hit that buzzer that I was talking about on the start station. Ology has elected not to hit the button and time is ticking off. Now that can be for a couple reasons. One, point spread and point margin going into tomorrow, because this is day 2 of play.
Yep.
So that means both teams are very aware of where they're standing, and they're either choosing not to risk playing because, you know, if you're out, and let's be real, buying more paint isn't cheap, and no one's really, at least especially for the Titans, like they're not driving home and flying back to New Zealand with paint from here. So they're not electing to concede the point, and what that means is in every pit station there is a magnetic button that you can take, and that serves two purposes. First, it's a timeout, so you can stop the clock to give yourself a minute break before your match starts. And the second thing is during the game of play, if something disastrous happens off the start of the game where you lose a couple people or you get a penalty, or as the game breaks down, you have one player left alive versus 4 or 5 guys, and you don't want them to get obliterated by paintballs, you can concede that point, and that automatically stops the clock and gives your opposing team a point. They have not elected to do that, so that means that they're very aware of where they stand, and Ology is standing out there with 4 bodies alive. They're not doing anything either. So this might be a 1-0 game because no one on Titans is doing anything. They're all just kind of standing around. Hey, Brandon Short! Brandon Short! Can you hear me? Brandon Short! What are you doing?
We also haven't started the second side of the split deck, so preferred mob.
All right, so Brandon says
and Carolina
they're going to buzz it at 5 minutes. So we've got another 2 minutes
time to
do Brandon Short a genius.
Break out, figure out their breakouts and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. All right, here we go. So, still running down that clock, and I get that. I get that rationale. I mean, paint's expensive, especially if you think you're going to take the loss. Also, let's be honest, it's hot out today, and if you're not used to
getting hotter.
They are from the UK or from over in Europe, and not that they don't have heat and humidity there, but like this is a lot. This is a lot to take, and they've been playing for 2 days, and it's demoralizing, this heat sometimes.
I think it definitely wears on people, and people just don't think about it. And you wonder why a lot of people, let's say paintball is definitely an emotional sport. Most are, especially when you dedicate a large portion of your time and 100% effort into it.
Yep.
But, yeah, the heat will make your blood boil, no pun intended, quicker. You see people are quicker to anger and agitate.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday morning already. First match of the day.
Ooh.
We had a suspension and some nasty penalties because of it. But hey, we do have a couple of minutes. We won't get into it too deeply, but we did have a new format that you guys were playing on yesterday, I guess. Was it yesterday already?
Wednesday.
Yeah, on Wednesday. Sorry, I've lost my days.
Yeah, we were talking about the days that we didn't even know.
So NXL kind of came up with an idea, which is great. Nice to see new ideas being tried out, and they tested that format on Wednesday with you guys on the center field, and a lot of people in the stands were checking it out with mixed reviews. But I'm super excited that they're trying new formats. I don't know if this will stick or if it's just sort of a learning experience. But
yeah, I mean, I don't think that. I think it'll just be a bunch of what's the word? Not corrections, but edits to the format if they choose to go forward with it in terms of the points, right? Should you be getting 7 points? Is it, if you look at, is it realistic to come back with 3 games played?
Yeah.
If you don't score any of those, actually making there be a main objective on the field where if you get to that spot first and hit a buzzer or whatever it takes, you actually get to keep those points and you can't lose them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of, and I'm sure all of you guys listening, if you're tuned in and kind of up to date on that, you've read the opinions given both through video commentary and text, right? No one seems to be afraid to express their feelings. But the positives, like Todd said, is the league came up with an idea, and instead of just talking about your ideas, they put it into play. And what better place to kind of do that in this setting where the weather's nice, there's refs, there's paint, and you have the best teams in the world. So
I really don't like you putting words in my mouth, but I do agree with you.
Hey, any chance I get, Todd.
So preferred mob, Carolina on the field. Carolina will be on the right side of your screen. They are going to go up with 3 guns up, but 2 bodies down right off the break.
2 bodies for both teams. So instantly off the start of this point, it is 3-on-3. So preferred mob has 3 players, and so does Crisis. You see Crisis making his way, the body over here into the snake insert. He's got his teammate in that center tower and another player on his squad in the back center starting position. Now we're looking at preferred mob, who's out in the snake corner, the Dorito one, and possibly the back center. Yeah. So the back center player is filling out over here, which is a good move because they're now 2-on-2. So 2 bodies for each team are on this side, and you can see the movement in what we would call the snake, making this player making his way into the center 50. Crisis loses their 3rd body, so it is a 3-on-2, a 1-body advantage to preferred mob. Ref checking out a preferred mob player. He's hit, so now it's a 2-on-2. So bodies dropping back and forth. Preferred mob may have lost their Dorito side player. It could be in the Dorito 2. You can see paint being shot at that spot. Oh, no, he's still in the Dorito 1. I saw him there. Good job by our camera guy switching up stuff. And you can see the far player for Crisis in that tower. He's looking forward, trying to identify the threat in front of him. I can hear him communicating with his snake player who's right in front of me by 20 feet. And he's just looking down the tape. And the one thing that we don't see happening right here between both squads is really kind of deciding to pick on one player and apply pressure to either side. Paintball is a big game of angles. And the farther down the field you move, the tighter you make it for your opponent to be in a spot. Right, Todd?
Yes, and I wonder if the Carolina Crisis player could get down on his hands and knees and move about the snake, move up a little bit, and kind of sneak up to the next position, the next sort of bunker, and then look across. So you can see him now moving up.
It's almost like he heard you.
He did. Well, a lot of the people out there are listening to the broadcast with earbuds.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. That is the correct move to make. He could keep going. He should keep going. And, it's one of those things where it's obviously way easier for us to say because we can see all this stuff. But this is where forcing yourself to play aggressive in practice, you don't know how to learn a spot unless you play a spot.
That's right.
Everything else is hypothetical. So
these players also took an opportunity to walk this field earlier and sort of look at all the spots where they could be playing potentially and where the shots could be. So by the end of this tournament, these guys know every shot on this field and where they can get away with things and where they can't. And if a player is in a certain bunker, where to go to get at them and force a fight. Now, we do lose another player from Preferred Mob. He was the one in the back snake corner.
Yeah, and the Dorito 1 player moved up to the next inflatable position, and you can see the Crisis player made a move through the middle. I don't like that, but it works out because they do get that elimination. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that is unfortunate for preferred mob is that the player that came out to this little, what we would call a cake bunker, or the inflatables that you see on the field in front of you, you can't see it. It's far off to your right. He had an opportunity to get out of that spot and make some forward progression into the snake, and I think if he would have done that, or at least attempted, that could have changed the game, because he let himself sit in the smallest spot on the field, and it's only a matter of time if you choose to sit there and drop anchor until you get clipped.
I will give credit right now to the semi-pro players. I have been watching a lot of paintball this season, doing commentating for other leagues, and some of them were our lower divisions. When it comes to the semi-pro guys, even when they're down on bodies, it doesn't stop them. You know, the aggression still continues. They still play their game. Even though they see half their teammates leaving, they're still out there trying to do something. They're not instantly hunkering down and being terrified that, you know, now they're outnumbered. What am I going to do? These guys are individual thinkers out there on the field playing as a team, so when their team starts falling apart, they're smart enough to know sort of where to go and how to do it.
And I'll tell you what, people ask all the time, what do pro teams look for? Verbatim what you just said.
Yeah.
So here we go, point number 2 of the Titans versus Ology. Titans on our left in the red, Ology on the right in the purple and black. Looks like the Titans lose a player at the start of this point from the snake side. So 5 on 4, one body advantage for Ology against the Titans. You can see the Titans right there on your screen in that center snake tower, the snake can in the back center. They also have a player over in the Dorito can. And there's Ology. Both towers, both cans in the back center. So pretty good positions for Ology. They're playing with a pocket, or what we'd say is inside. No one took any risks running through lanes or avenues that people would be shooting right off the break. They do get another elimination, and the terminology there would be a G, a kill. Some of the pro teams use the word tiger. So it is a 5 on 3. There are 5 Ology players right there on your screen versus 3 Titans players on your screen.
We also noticed that the teams are not taking the snake side, which is the side closest to the cameras. They're more so going up the opposite side of the field, which we would call the Dorito side.
Yeah, the big move's now happening that, an Ology player gets shot in a gunfight. So he's playing his mirror, which is his opposite position down the field, and he loses it. And they lose another player on the Dorito side. I was going to say, it was nice to see him start making moves because they had to go against 40% less firepower of the Titans. But now it's even. 3 bodies on 3 bodies. And I don't really hear Ology talking. And so I'm not sure that they're aware that they lost 2 bodies. The snake player on your screen right here kind of has the ball for Ology because the rest of his teammates are on the other side of the field. He's got 2 opponents in front of him, and if he can make this move to the 50,
I just lost another player.
Yeah, the Titans loses one of their center guys, so it should be a one-body. Oh, look at this guy. He wraps the snake, gets another elimination.
PBHQ Australia says, let's go Titans. Unfortunately, I don't know. Oh, that might happen. We just lost another.
Yeah, so I was misspoken. The Ology team lost the body out of the center, not the Titans, so it should be a 2 on 2. Oh, keep going, Ology. Keep crawling, keep crawling, keep crawling, keep crawling. Oh, that was a sneaky shot. That was nice.
He got him. So
he got both of them.
2 on none.
So Stanley over here does a good job floating into the snake, coming down it, calm and collective. Was the only one over here, which is unfortunate for the Titans because they had 2 players. They could have really applied a lot of pressure to Stanley. They didn't do it, and they just slowly got whittled out of their spots. Yeah. And they brought it back. It was a 5 on 3. They got 2 quick kills or eliminations on their opponents, and it just wasn't enough.
Yeah. You'll also notice as maybe a new person watching that as the bodies are dropping on the opposite side of the field, the players coming at them start playing a little more out of their bunker and heads-up play, so they're not as hiding behind their bunker as they were before because they have less guns shooting at them, and they have the advantage, so they're trying to cut all those angles down, and they need to sort of start moving up the field that way.
Mm-hmm.
So well done. That was a good point for sure. And I'm sorry, you were calling them Ology? I've been calling them Ology. Are one of us right or wrong?
I don't know. I just saw the O. It said Ology. I'm sure there's someone in the chat
I'm sure someone can.
People are pretty good at texting me when I do this stuff and telling me that I'm an idiot. So I defer to
the powers of the internet.
I defer to you guys out there. Shoot me a message if you know the correct pronunciation of said
Preferred
team.
Mob is going to be on the right side of your screen. Crisis on your left. Both starting with 5. 11.5 minutes of gameplay still.
That's Preferred Mob on your screen. They do lose a player, but they also shoot a player. So it is a 4-on-4. Better field position for Preferred Mob as they're in the snake, and they now get their second elimination on Crisis. So it is a 4-on-3. And Crisis now making moves out of the back center bunker over to that Dorito side and snake side. Looks like both players make it out clean, not getting shot. So they have the Dorito 1, the snake tower, and the snake can, whereas Preferred Mob, it's got the center wedge, both cans, and the snake. Now the snake can just move back to the back center. I don't like that, and I don't like how the snake player here was looking inside for Preferred Mob. He needs, as you said, Todd, earlier, get down and crawl.
Yeah.
Get down and crawl.
I know the ground is warm, and it's uncomfortable. It's dirty.
But the faster you get down on the ground and shoot people, the faster you can get off the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he missed the move. The O team. No, I'm sorry. I reversed. The Carolina player moved back from the can to the back center. I don't like that move either.
The tactical retreat.
Yeah, I don't like it because you lose your shots, and all this player right now, Lana, who has to do Preferred Mob, is wrap all the way, and he's not doing it. He's not doing it. He's just waiting. Like in situations like this, he's got no one talking to him. And this is why it was a misstep for his back player, this player that was in the can with him, to fill back to the back center.
Yeah.
This point should have been over. This guy should have racked up 3 eliminations. Now he gets one because this player on Crisis comes blindly into him. So he just needs to continue to wrap around.
Or go around the inside and down low and maybe pop up. But again,
100%.
He's got to change it up a bit.
Oh, and the minor penalty being assessed. And what that means for those of you that are new, penalties all over the place. It's like 3-4 flags just went up. So I think there's a chance here that maybe Preferred Mob got a penalty because they're losing players.
Yeah, so there's penalties everywhere
there's someone
going
still
on
alive
right now.
Someone's still alive because this guy just got shot in the face.
So it looks like we still have.
He is. There's another body that was hiding on Crisis.
Down, and
he doesn't know. Who's going to get there first? And Preferred Mob gets it.
Preferred Mob gets it. There was 2 bodies alive. They didn't know each other was. They didn't know each other were there. So they both ran for the buzzer, and it looked like Preferred Mob got it there. Wow, I love that. It's what happens. There are so many bunkers out there, you could potentially lose your opponents and not know how many are there or even if there's anybody on the field with you. So that happens more times than not.
Yeah, and that's why I say it's always important to be aware of the eliminations you get. So, like, some of the things that we always stress the most at the Pro Division is just simple communication. Yeah. You don't need to overdo it. How many bodies do we have alive? How many bodies do they have alive? And as professionals, it's our job to know our opponents. So we should be able to put names to our opponents, and we know their tendencies.
Yep.
So if I'm playing against Impact and I see Dalton walking off, and I know he's been playing the Dorito side, I know there's one less threat that team has on that side of the field, and I can communicate that to my team.
One of the greatest things that people started doing is having calls for things. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's an easy way to communicate something, complicated with just a single word.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Titans on the right side of your screen, down by 2 with 2 minutes left on the clock. Losing their Dorito player right off the hop, as well as looks like their snake runner.
Yeah, so 2 bodies being shot by paintballs from the opposing team's paintball markers. Jason Wheeler filling out from the back center to the snake can to pinch or fill a hole. Looks like the center player for Titans is asking for a check. He's called clean. Man, the Titans, yeah, they're just not having a good go of it, man. Like they're losing bodies on the break. They're not able to stay alive in their spots, and it's just been tough.
They could just be getting tired. They, maybe with their standings, they've just sort of given up, or maybe Ology has just got their number.
Well, the Titans do get an elimination, and Wheeler kind of filters over here unopposed into the snake. So if he can, there's a minute to go, he's got to go. They're down by 2. Yeah, I can't be looking inside. Yeah, Jason's got to go. He's the widest player on the side of the field. Because he shifted to look in, he's now let. Oh, wow.
They took
so
two
the Titans
players.
Must be doing something in the center because
one.
another player has walked off for Ology.
So according to the chat, it is Ology.
Ology.
Yeah. Someone else said we're both right. English is hard.
Dude, I'm with you. Same team. Unfortunately here, I mean, and here's the other thing. Do we know the record of the Titans?
I don't have that in front of me. Titans won 6-1 and 5-1.
So right now they
won this morning.
They won this morning.
So
if they're 3-0.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Now, all this does is because they haven't won a point this match, hurts their plus minus their point spread, which is because they've lost 3 points. With however many points they've had for them, this now subtracts 3 off of that, and that is one of the important factors that helps you get on to the next round of the tournament. So,
yeah, there's a lot going on here. Not only do you have the players competing, you have the coaches who can control the time clock by toweling a game early. That can really steer your, where you're playing, when you're playing, and also your pod guys. We saw pod guys coming out too soon and causing their teams penalties, which cost them the game. These are 3 factors that, you have to take care of as a team.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, that should have no bearing on the game.
I
CXPL.
agree. I agree.
Chris Black, Marco. I don't forget. But that was many moons ago. Here we go. Point number 3, Crisis versus Preferred Mob.
Crisis losing their first person off the break.
Yeah, they do, but I like this move. They're making coordinated moves through the middle as Preferred Mob now loses a body. And they lose a second body because of the move up the center to eliminate the snake player for Preferred Mob. So
and getting up to that middle in the center, shooting out that snake, that was his job. That just saved them a lot of heartache.
And guess what? We cursed him because now he just gets shot in the hand. So Crisis did have a 1-body advantage. Now it is 3-on-3. We've seen a lot between these two teams. We've seen a lot of bodies being eliminated, getting shot quickly, and on both sides in very quick succession. Preferred Mob doing a good job of filtering over into the snake to match their opponent. A lot more time here in this game because it's still going with 8 minutes, coming up to 8 minutes left in regulation play. And it looks like really no one's wanting to do much. Crisis is now going to get in. Ooh, I thought he might have got shot in the pack. Now getting into the snake and crawling up. Going to look to shoot crossfield. You can see him right there on your screen to the right. He's got a teammate in that center wedge.
Now, he already, as a snake player, has people shooting at him, so he has to be very careful. He lost his element of surprise. Try his hand now, but move up. Try another spot.
That's a great point you bring up there, Todd, like the element of surprise. There are times when that's important, right? No one knows you're there, and they're not playing tight in their position, and they're exposed to you when you come out. There's other times, though, I want people to know where I'm at because I want the attention on me and not on my teammates to allow them to make moves.
Yep, 100%.
And that's definitely something that coaches and players need to really kind of think about when setting up game plans is probably ultimately at the end of the day, you would prefer people to make it into spots that it's high risk, high reward, but unseen. But if they don't make it unseen, you just staying alive and attracting attention. Again, remember, there's 5 people on the team that you're going against. So if you do some simple math and divide those 5 guys up, that's 20% per person. Out of the 100, this Preferred Mob loses their 3rd body out of the center. If I can get 2 or 3 guys shooting at me, that frees up a lot of opportunities for my teammates.
Yep, absolutely. And if we time it where I run into the snake and make sure people know and I can get some guns turned on me, maybe Nick has an opportunity on the Dorito side or somewhere else to make a move because I drew that attention. Oh, all right. Clean hit. That beats Crisis loses another body.
Oh, he gets another one crossfield, but he doesn't know about the center player. And in a smart move by the snake player, he calls story time, which is traditionally a slow it down, communicate, find the other players, and they do. He's immediately trying to shoot a bounce shot on his opponent in the center wedge here.
How many players for preferred mob are left? Just 2, eh? So it's a 2-on-1. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
preferred
they
mob's
trade
gonna
out.
Take this
They
with
trade
one
out.
body.
As long as the other player on the and so Crisis smartly concedes the point to save time, because that we started that point with about 8:40, so that was 3 minutes off the clock, and it's a 1-point game. Preferred mob 2-1 over Carolina Crisis.
Yeah. And that clock is another thing that you can use as a tool to either work for you or against you. So knowing what time is on the clock and how to deal with that is another learned skill.
It is.
Helps to have a coach, but when you're on that field, it's up to you.
Yep, and every field has a game clock running over on the pit side, and in this orientation, it is the snake side. So we are currently sitting. You can see the schedule right there on your screen, the games that have taken place already, and where we're at today. Before this was the Misfits versus Joe Barr team. The Misfits were victorious in that one, and then the KC All-Stars played BZ Fearless. The All-Stars won that. And now we're currently at the 10:40 a.m. set. After this, we have Colorado Blitz versus Scalp. I don't know why.
Sure where you're going with that.
I tried to say something completely different. I was like, that's a state. And the New Jersey Jesters playing against New Management. I'm interested to hear more about that team.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice name.
Yeah, there seems to be a hidden dig in there.
Yeah, and then that will, after the next set, there should be maybe a lunch break. And then it looks like you have the women, what is it?
NXL.
NXL.
Yeah.
I knew that.
I have to say, we watched them in Chicago and again yesterday, and I don't know what they've done to those ladies, but wow, was it good paintball yesterday. I don't know if they've been eating their Wheaties, if they've been practicing and training, or just it's the end of the season and they're all at the peak of their at their talent right now. But wow, it was good paintball yesterday afternoon. And if you are interested, stick around. We're going to have them all afternoon here live on this channel.
Yes, looking at preferred mob right now on your screen. Looks like 3 bodies breaking out towards the snake side, 2 bodies in the back center, all the way up and around the snake, into the snake. 3. I like that move. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. He gets an elimination. Preferred mob loses 1, so it's a 4-on-4. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop.
Yeah, keep
Don't
going.
stop. Come on. Dude. See, and this is one of those things, and preferred mob gets a penalty, so he really needs to get going, as preferred mob has now lost 3. And here's the problem. It's like he looks back and sees that and looks inside. Another body walks up. 3 bodies for Crisis have walked off, so it's a 2-on-2.
At least he's relegating some of that, or talking to some of his teams here. But
and look at this. He's communicating to his teammate that takes him off his job, and he misses the player for Crisis filling out to the corner. This game, this would have been over had Lena continued down the field and shot everyone in front of him. He does get an elimination heads up. So if I'm not mistaken, no, that's it. There's no one left for Crisis.
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
so that's going to take preferred mob potentially to a 3-on-1, or 3-to-1 rather.
Yeah, there shouldn't be anyone left alive.
Well, again, so much happened, and he looked back. He missed half of it. He's just double-checking, making sure the field is clear.
Yeah, and then I guess another big factor here is now Crisis just conceded, so not a bad move. Now, we were talking earlier about how this works when you have 4 teams playing at once. Now that the first match has concluded, there is a 2-minute break between games, and what you hear a lot of people say, which I argue with them every time, is now we're in X-Ball, which if we go back a decade or more, well, actually longer, the game that we are playing, what has evolved to, used to be called X-Ball, and it was 2 25-minute halves. We originally started where teams were shooting at a rate of fire of 15 balls a second. In the pro division, it was full auto. And there was continuously a running clock, but no matter what, there was always a 2-minute break between games, and there was only one game going on at once. It was me versus Todd and no one else.
Yeah.
So a relic of the past that is held on is people will now say we're an X-Ball. And I always like looking at them going, you don't know what you're talking about. That's my job.
It's a name that's become a thing, like calling something a thermos. That's a brand name, not actually what it is, but it's because it's adopted now. And unfortunately, X-Ball time will always be known as the 2 minutes between.
Yeah.
Yeah. X-Ball, that's a conversation I could have with Nick for hours about the old days and how great 15 balls a second was.
Yep.
But you know what?
Coming up to flag raiders in Ontario and playing some good ball.
Format aside, one thing I miss in paintball, aside from sideline coaching on the spectators only, because I think spectators need to be involved. I hate walking by grandstands and it's quiet. People are sitting on their hands. They might as well be watching tennis, right? And I get there's a set of problems there. But what I really miss is a penalty box where a guy is stuck in a penalty box and has to fight his way out when his time diminishes. I loved that aspect of the game.
I did like that. That's something that was taken from hockey.
Yeah.
So here we go. Point number 5. Crisis losing by 2. We're going to see if they can do something. They do lose. Man, Crisis cannot live on the break. They lose 4 bodies. So this is an opportunity for the coach to go concede.
Yep.
And they're not doing it, which is blowing my mind. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah, they lost 4 players on their team in the first 3.5 seconds.
And it's hard. Here's the thing. So you've got a team, and you have your coach, and you have your pit crew. But you're traveling to an international venue. All of a sudden, you can't bring, your pit crew because it's too expensive. So now you're relying on a coach. Or maybe your coach can't make it. Maybe you guys are just coming out as you are. It's hard when you don't have that infrastructure. If you don't have a dedicated coach with a clipboard in his hand, weighing it out, weighing all his options, and being the one responsible for that towel, sometimes it gets missed. Sometimes the captain of the paintball team, who would normally make some of those decisions, are out there on the field playing, and probably in his mind yelling, someone needs to throw the towel here, but nobody is doing it in the pit. So, it's hard at an international venue. Not every team has that full complement of staff. Other teams, I will argue that they do. I see guys with clipboards. I see pit crew that our only job is to wipe down players. Other ones to deal with their paint. Not only deal with them, but put the paint in the shade, or only go get the paint when they are needed off the paint trailer, so that it keeps it acclimated to to a cooler climate. So, and with that being said, we want to say thank you to all of our sponsors, all of our platinum sponsors. Well, really anybody that's sponsoring, because if it wasn't for them, you guys wouldn't be watching some great paintball. So thanks to GIHK, Virtue, Infamous, Lone Wolf, and Planet Eclipse, just to name a few. You can see the rest there on your screen. A lot of representation.
Choose die.
What's that?
Choose die.
Ah, yes.
I'm not biased.
So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are halfway through day 2, and we're nearly at the end of our semi-pro matches. I'm not sure how many we have left, but we certainly have the WNXL coming, as you saw on that schedule. I've got a great memory. It's short.
It might be day 2 of play, but we've been out here for a week, and it's been hot.
Yes.
So let's see if Crisis, who's on your screen right now, can make something happen. They just need to survive the breakout. They got 2 shooters in the back. Big move by Preferred Mob, up and around all the way to the Dorito 3, and I think he makes it.
Yeah, Crisis coming right up the middle.
Get him out. Snake player from Preferred Mob tries to make a fill, gets clipped in the back.
I would argue he was still forward motioning at that point because he was crawling. He didn't stop.
Oh, you're going to throw a penalty on him?
But that was a close call.
Well, so you bring that up. That's the argument for throwing it. If you want to be black and white, if you get clipped going into the snake and you choose to continue forward progress, you're actively playing on, and that would be a penalty.
Yeah.
But you also have to try and you're also afforded the opportunity to get yourself in a place of safety. And in diving into this snake, unless you dive right into the beam, you're not safe anywhere.
That's right.
So
you're going to continue to get hit.
I wouldn't have thrown a penalty on that. I applaud the head ref running in there right away and instantly making the call to eliminate the player because it was the right call. Now, Crisis throwing a body away out of this 50 snake, making it a 4-on-4. They had the one body advantage. Yep. They'd have 2 players in the snake. The second player might be fixing his gun. He's loading. He needs to get moving down here because 3-point swing with 2 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock is going to be tough.
Not to confuse the ruling on the ref, but there was a time when the refs weren't responsible for calling you or out. you were the one responsible for calling yourself out, and he would just sit there and watch you. And if you played on after that, that was on you. He would call you out. So at least now the refs will go in. You can ask for a paint check. They will come and check you. So it's certainly a little more friendly that way.
Yeah, and I could express some feelings on that. I'll tell you, going back to when I got to play my first NXL Pro in the PSP, the difference in reffing was immaculate because they had a system built out to where if I ran out to the corner, there was a ref inside of me that you'll see in the start stations, but already calling me out. So the ref in the corner would take his cues from him. He might not see any ball break on my inside, but I was getting called out before I got in. And unless I completely chose to ignore that referee, then I would get a penalty.
Yeah.
But if we go back to your penalty box that you so dearly love,
I do.
Those were 2-minute and 5-minute penalties. And so those hurt you a lot more than what you see in today's day and age. Now, don't get me wrong. A 1-for-1 minor and a 2-for-1 major here still will hurt you, but I would take those any day of the week in that 1 point versus having to sit out in the penalty box for 5 minutes.
But there was something fun about watching the game from the penalty box. Whether you were the one who it was issued or whether you were serving it for somebody.
Get out, ref.
Band-Aid VR in the live chat said Todd should grow a Slowiak beard. There's not enough hair follicles on my face where I could grow that. Do you know that there's places on Nick's face that light doesn't even penetrate?
That's true. Question for Nick. I played D1 OG X-Ball at 15 balls a second and switched to 13, I believe. Yep, 13. Did you shoot more paintball when it went to 13? Weird question, but we definitely shot a lot more at 13. So I'm trying to remember. I don't think when it switched to 13, we weren't playing. He's going to go right to this lane of paint, get shot. He's going to keep this walking, call himself out. That was not.
No, that was not smart.
And now here comes a penalty.
Oh.
And that
gonna clean
means
up.
one person's left alive. So Kresh is going to get this one with 25 seconds left.
Nice. It's going to make it a 4-2.
So it's tough because while you would think if you talk about, well, if you're shooting 15 balls a second versus what we're at 10.5 now, you obviously would have shot more paint then. But the fields were not as cluttered as they are now.
Less bunkers.
Yeah, there were less bunkers, and to some extent, right? You had a big X in the middle of the field, which early on was very narrow. It wasn't as fat, which definitely hurt field owners trying to set up those X's. It was not fun. And there were what a lot of people, I think, in Europe and maybe even Canada called trees that we called the pins.
Or lane blockers.
Lane blockers. And there was, I think, at one point 12 of those. And those were always on the field off the center X. So you don't see that now anymore, and what you saw was bigger lanes. And I would argue, if I played back then, is people were putting a lot more emphasis into doing drills and were much better shots.
Yeah, I agree.
And at the same time, you had more paint going through a zone. So the distance at 15 balls a second, there we go, was maybe this. So like me squeezing through that, not possible. But when you go to 13, and then 12.5, and then 10, now a body can squeeze through that on the break, and that's just, the paint's there. The shot was good, but it's just the timing of you going through that zone. So that makes it easier for players to get out. And I've found, I think, through the evolution of the game and the culture, people tend to sit in their bunkers more and just shoot.
Yeah.
And it's not because the guns make it easy. It's just because people are afraid of moving down the field.
Yeah. I think watching and playing at 15 balls a second versus 10, 15 seemed fun, but 10 is more. There's more movement. There's more flexibility. There's more people making those moves. I still say that I shot more playing 10.5 than I was 15.
Yeah, and that's where that's what is crazy though, is that's why I kind of disagree, because people don't make those moves. People only make, and I see this more in the pro field versus here, but people make those moves only when they have to, and it's too late a lot of the times at that point. Then you see the aggressive, crazy run-throughs and moves, people running and shooting out far. It's like they just, people are afraid, I think, and they just don't take the risks. And it's like, well, if you could do it when you have 2 minutes left, why didn't you do it when you had 15? Because you could always run like a chicken with your head cut off whenever you like. So, great question. I went to a Nick's clinic that was a long time ago. Yeah, that's right, baby. Thank you, Mr. White. So
I gave Nick Slowiak a clinic once.
you did. You did. You definitely did.
We had an opportunity to actually play together a couple times.
We did.
And against each
game.
other a couple times. Yeah.
Yep. I tell people, if there's one league I could go back and play, and if it was kept exactly how it used to be, is the CXBL in Canada.
Yeah.
Nothing really quite has come close to that.
You know, I have to say one of my highlights of playing that was the All-Star match. I enjoyed that.
So Crisis running down the field, right? And this is something they could have done much earlier. You know, they're losing bodies, preferred mobs losing bodies. It's a 3-on-3. Kind of a sloppy move around the snake here.
Yep.
Oh, this play. Oh, yeah. So preferred mob makes a good move down there. And they're going to go ahead and hit the button. So they're going to go up 5-2. So have a +3 on this, which is good for them. There's 4 seconds left on the clock. And that's another thing to kind of point out rule-wise. When the time ticks down, usually if it's below 10, they'll choose not to play. Oh, what was that? You just throw a flag? We don't, hey, you can't be doing that, ref. Well, I don't know. If he's messing around, he's messing around.
Yeah.
But what that would, because that could potentially be a swing point if it's a major penalty. But yeah, 10 seconds, unless it's a 1-point game, usually you're not going to see them play. But they'll run the time off because it's just kind of pointless.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're already giving handshakes and high fives. And they've run the clock as well.
Yeah, Dean in the center there, the owner of the team. There's Coach Noel Tran. Good group of guys. Preferred mob out of New England,
Yep.
the Boston area, and the Carolina Crisis, if you couldn't figure it out of the Carolina region.
And
they've got a pretty big camp. I think they've got teams from semi-pro all the way down to D12, whatever it is down there now.
Nice. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, that ends this set of split deck matches. Stay tuned. We're going to have more paintball coming up very shortly. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Nick, for being on the webcast here.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. And if you guys are here, get out, walk around, check out all the vendors. This is, Todd, we said 600 teams.
600 plus, almost 700.
This is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, NXL events, period. All the vendors are out here in force. I'm going to tell you to go to Die because we've got a bunch of cool new stuff out here. We got the wing visor. I've got the new Icon M3 over there that I used today that shot flawlessly, our forged carbon barrel back. And, thank you, Todd.
Absolutely. Support all of the people who support this league.
Behind the bunker, Flag Raiders.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. We'll check in with you shortly when we have some more paintball for you.
Bye-bye.